South Central Kansas, but it is 10 degrees outside right now, and it is freezing, and we're bringing out the old war horse, the old Russian M91 Mosin Nagant. Now we're really going to be testing the gloves on this thing today, or seeing how well it handles with gloves, because I'm not taking these things off because it is freezing cold out here. So let's see how I can load this thing up here with gloves, try to at least. Oh, the old Mosin Nagant. Kind of got some history with it. It was the really the first full-size rifle anybody in my immediate family had. We had them growing up, had 3 or 4 of them around the house. And just kind of a cool little rifle. Now this rifle right here is a Tula rifle made in 1940. You see right there? It's a pretty cool little rifle. Alrighty, I got some rounds loaded in here. Let's take a couple of shots. Okay, let's do some shooting here. Shoot at these bottles. I'm shooting this closest one first. Yeah, he's dead. I'll pull that one. Oh, that's a pretty cool rifle. It doesn't kick near as much as I remember it kicking as a kid. Of course, I haven't shot one of these in a minute. Let's do a little talking about some history. Alright, the old M91 30. Where do we start? This rifle went into development in the 1890s. Actually, they started before that. Okay, so allegedly, this is now disputed, evidently. There's this place called Pueblo where the Russians were fighting the Turks, and the Russians were using single-shot rifles, and the Turks were using Winchester repeaters. And the Russians won, but after this, they took some really serious casualties, and after this, the rest of the world, they looked at it and they said, well, you know what, maybe it's time for us all to adopt a repeating rifle. And so everybody started developing their own rifles. The British started going and developing the Long Lee. The French started developing the Lebel. The Germans were developing the Mauser. The Americans, well, we were behind the times too. But eventually we started developing starting to adopt the Krag Jorgensen. Everybody in the world is doing this except for one country. Russia, the ones who experienced everything firsthand. But eventually, they decided, you know what, let's develop our own bolt-action rifle. And so, first off, they developed this cool little cartridge, the 7.62x54R. It is a pretty potent cartridge. It's not as powerful as a lot of people say it is. I mean, it's very powerful, but it's not. People will compare it to the 30-06 and be like, oh, this is the Russian 30-06. It's just as powerful as a 30-06. No, it's not. It's not as powerful as an 8mm. It's closer to a 303, which everybody's like, oh, that was a mild cartridge. Well, if that's a mild cartridge, then this is a mild cartridge. I hate to break it to you, but it is what it is. So they developed that 7.62x54, which is a pretty cool little cartridge. I think the design is actually better than 303, and let me just show you why. So we have here is the back end of the 7.62x54R, and unlike the 303, it is actually beveled at the edges of the rim to help avoid rim lock. The 303 is not, and you constantly are having to worry about rim lock, not so much with this cartridge. So anyhow, they developed that rim cartridge, and if you're going to go with rimmed, that's the way to go, because it does avoid rim lock. I don't think I've ever had one of these rim lock on me. But, and another reason, a lot of people will ask, well, why didn't they just go with a standard rimless? Well, you have to realize this thing started development in the 1880s, and not only that, for the machine gun technology of the time, rimmed was the way to go. This round is so popular that even today, the Russian military, it is their version of our 7.62 by 51 NATO. That is their version of it. So, it's a very good cartridge. Anyhow, this rifle gets developed. It goes through World War I, obviously. And then in the 1930s, after the Soviet Union comes to power and Tsar Nicholas gets killed, this rifle gets refurbished as the M91 It's essentially just modified to make it a little easier to manufacture. And it's got a bunch of little simple modifications, not really anything too drastic to make it any much of a better rifle. But then it gets where it is really famous, and that is World War II. This thing was used extensively. There were millions of these things manufactured. And then there's the age-old story about them handing these off to Russian soldiers with a bayonet and then giving the guy behind him 5 rounds of ammunition. So whenever the guy in front died bayonet charging Germans, the guy behind him would pick up his rifle and put 5 rounds in it, and then he could use it as a rifle. Is that true? I don't know. It sounds a whole lot like Russian propaganda, but anyhow, that's the story that goes out about it. Anyhow, let me tell you about my thoughts about these rifles. My grandpa gave my brothers and my dad these rifles whenever I was pretty young. So these were the rifles first full caliber rifles we ran around with. Actually, it was the first rifle we ran around with and shot the size 22 long rifle. They're pretty, so yeah, we got a pretty good history with the old rifle. And I used to think it was the best. I was like, man, there's nothing in this world that'll compare with a Mosin Nagant. And then I got a Lee-Enfield. And I was like, yeah, okay. I found something better. And then, it just kind of faded off into obscurity for me. But, now that I've been out here shooting it, they aren't half that bad. I haven't shot one of these things in probably 6 or 7 years. They're actually kind of fun to shoot. So enough of me talking about it. Let's try some longer range shooting. So I was talking about how these rifles, you really don't have to worry about rim lock as bad. And we're going to try to put that to the test right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load this rim behind that one and shove it in there. Now in a Lee-Enfield, this would most likely cause a malfunction. Let's see if it does with this. It may not. Nope, slid right past it. All right, let's try the 100-yard gong from here. See if I can ring him. We're set for 100 yard, or 100, whatever the Russians use. All right. Well, we broke the gong. Oh, what's this? What's this? Well, guys, that's about it for the old M91 today. So, make sure you stay tuned in for these snow videos because we got some other things coming up that we're going to be shooting in the snow. But, as always, thank you for watching. До свидания.